first time I cried playing a video game, I was a teenager sitting in front of a TV playing Final Fantasy X. That moment changed everything. Games weren't just fun anymore, they made me feel something deeper inside. They taught me about loss, about choices, about who I wanted to be. Welcome back to my journey through 40 years of gaming. I'm covering one game per year that I've actually played and that left a mark on me. Last time we covered my childhood, that was a crazy one, the games that taught me how to play. This time, it's the games that showed me why I play. So we're covering 1995 to 2004, my teenage years. This is when gaming stopped being just entertainment and started becoming something else I was connected with emotionally. These are the games that made me introspective, that I binged until 3 a.m. Same rules as before, one game per year. North American releases, and only games I've actually played. Not pretending I touched something just because it was a classic. These 10 games just didn't define my teenage years, they really defined the kind of gamer I became. Let's start with 1995. Chrono Trigger was the first time a video game story really grabbed me and wouldn't let me go. Up until this point, I loved games for gameplay, the challenge, the fun. But Chrono Trigger, I cared about what happened to these characters. Time travel, multiple endings, a story that made me think about consequences and fate. This was different. I couldn't put this game down. Even at 10 years old, I was staying up late on school nights, sacrificing sleep just to see what would happen next. They could pull you into a world and make you really care. This was the beginning of a journey that would eventually lead me to crying at a video game 6 years later. But first, I needed to discover what 3D could do. So after getting lost in Chrono Trigger's story, Super Mario 64 brought me back to pure joy, but in a whole new dimension. This was my first taste of true 3D platforming and it blew my mind. Running around Peach's castle, collecting stars, jumping into paintings, it felt limitless. The freedom to explore, to choose which star to go after, to discover secrets tucked in every corner, that was revolutionary. I became obsessed with completion. Not just beating the game, but completing it. Getting every single star. That drive to 100% a game, Mario planted that seed. But while Mario revolutionized how we move through space, the next game would revolutionize how we experience stories. So Final Fantasy VII wasn't just a game, it was an experience that consumed me. The materia system was one of the most fun progressive systems I ever played with. Mixing and matching materia, experimenting with builds, customizing every character, it added a layer of strategy that kept me hooked for hours. But beyond the mechanics, this was the 7th iteration of Final Fantasy's turn-based combat. It felt like the series had perfected its formula. Every battle, every boss, every twist in the story, it all clicked for me. Final Fantasy VII proved that JRPGs could be a massive, cinematic, and deeply engaging experience. It was the bridge between Chrono Trigger's storytelling ambition and the emotional breakthrough that was coming. But first, Nintendo had one more 3D revolution up its sleeve. If Mario 64 introduced me to 3D exploration, Ocarina of Time perfected it. The jump to 3D added a level of immersion I had never felt before. Dungeons felt massive and complex. The overworld felt alive, and even though the game was more complex than past Zeldas, it still maintained a sense of familiarity. The same sense of wonder I felt as a kid playing the original. But what stuck with me the most was the scope. This was an adventure. Not just a game that you beat in a weekend, but a journey you just sank into for weeks. Ocarina of Time revealed that games could be epic, sprawling experiences that stayed with you for a long time after you finished them. These two Nintendo 64 games back to back showed me what 3D gaming could become. But 1999 would take me into a completely different direction. So this one was a weird one for me. After years of epic adventures and deep stories, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was a complete 180. This wasn't about saving the world or exploring dungeons, this was about style. I was grinding rails, landing combos, chasing high scores. It had an addictive, arcade-like gaming loop that I couldn't put down. But more than that, this was a game I played with my friends. We'd compete for high scores, challenge each other to land impossible tricks, passing the controller back and forth for hours. And that soundtrack, Goldfinger, Dead Kennedys, Primus, Tony Hawk didn't just introduce me to skating culture, it shaped my music taste for years to come. I wasn't a skater in real life, I didn't need to be. This game proved that games didn't always need epic stories to matter. Sometimes they just need to be fun in the right way, with the right people. From social competition to social collecting, Pokémon Gold and Silver expanded everything I loved about Red and Blue. 2 regions, new Pokémon, day and night cycles. This has got to catch them all, taken to the next level. And for me, it started something that I'm still doing today, building a living dex. That's every Pokémon, every evolution, all organized and lined up in order. It's ridiculous and I love it. I was trading with friends at school, linking cables in the cafeteria, comparing collections. This game reinforced gaming that could be both personal and communal. Gold and Silver showed that games could grow with you, giving you more of what you love, refined and expanded. These social experiences set the stage perfectly for the emotional breakthrough that was about to happen to me. Final Fantasy X is where everything changed for me. This is the first time I cried playing a video game. The story hit me harder than any book, any movie, or TV show I had experienced up to that point. I won't spoil it for you, but if you know, you know. This was the moment Chrono Trigger had been building towards, when games stopped being just entertainment and became art. The comic kept me engaged for hundreds of hours, switching characters mid-battle, the sphere grid progression, strategic team building, mechanically is brilliant, and yeah, I even really like Blitzball. But it was the emotional connection that mattered the most. Final Fantasy X proved to me games can really make you feel. It wasn't just about the adrenaline or satisfaction, but real, raw emotion. And once I experienced that, there was just no going back. Kingdom Hearts showed me that even with the wildest mashups could carry the same weight. Taking the two worlds I loved, Disney and Final Fantasy, and mashing them together shouldn't have worked, but it absolutely did. The battle system was tight and responsive, but what really grabbed me was jumping between Disney worlds, seeing how these beloved characters fit into ambitious emotional stories. Kingdom Hearts really enforced that video game stories could be just as impactful as any other medium, even when mixing with the impossible. The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker brought me back to exploration, but with a twist, complete freedom. While Ocarina showed me 3D adventure, Wind Waker gave me an ocean to sail and the freedom to discover islands at my own pace. Yeah, the sailing could feel slow at times, but the sense of adventure, of not knowing what you find next, was worth it. And more importantly, Wind Waker was vibrant, expressive, and unafraid to be different. The cel-shaded art style that everyone complained about back then, it proved that games didn't need to follow formulas to be great, they could chart their own course. So last but not least, Fable took everything I learned about choice in games and made it visible. This was my first real action RPG, and the decision-making system was really crazy. Be good, be evil, be somewhere in between. Your choices shaped who you became, how people reacted to you, and even how your character looked. That level of agency was something I hadn't experienced before. Fable showed me that RPGs didn't have to be turn-based to be immersive. It revealed that games could give you the freedom to define your own path, and that experimentation could be just as rewarding as mastering familiar formulas. So that's it. 10 games from 1995 to 2004, my teenage years. Looking back, I can see a clear evolution. Chrono Trigger taught me to care. Mario and Zelda taught me to explore. Tony Hawk taught me to share. And Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts taught me how to feel. This was the decade that changed everything for me. Gaming stopped being just a hobby and became something deeper. These games showed me that stories that could be told through gameplay, the emotional connection was just as important as challenge, and the games I loved said something about who I was becoming. But the story doesn't end here. The next decade, 2005 to 2014, is where everything I learned gets tested. The rise of HD gaming, the evolution of online multiplayer, and some of the most iconic games ever made. If you want to see what defined my 20s, stick around. That video is coming soon. And if a game ever made you cry, I'd love to hear about it in the comments.